My name is Kristen Adams, 36, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the family disappointment. In a world of silk dresses, Ivy League legacies, and my parents' endless pursuit of prestige, I was the misfit with thrift store clothes and an affinity for dismantling computers. Tonight, I'm at their estate for their 40th wedding anniversary, fully expecting my sister Diana's trademark barbs about my supposed failures, oblivious to the fact that by morning my face will be on the cover of Forbes magazine. My parents, Robert and Eleanor, raised us in Westchester County in a sprawling colonial mansion where success meant Yale, Harvard, and a suitable marriage. Diana played the part perfectly. Valedictorian, Ivy League degrees, a high-powered law career, and marriage to Bradford Whitney, heir to a real estate empire. She became the embodiment of their ambitions and never missed an opportunity to remind me of it. I was different from the start. While she mastered piano and lacrosse, I built circuits and coded late into the night. My father dismissed it as tinkering, insisting Adams' women-led organizations not hid behind screens. When I got into Yale, they thought I'd finally aligned with their plan. But halfway through, after discovering a massive security vulnerability in the university network, I realized my true calling. I dropped out and launched my startup. My family's reaction was nuclear. My mother wept, my father cut me off, and Diana told me coldly that some people just weren't cut out for real success. With $5,000 and a prototype algorithm, I moved into a cramped Seattle studio. Those first months were brutal. Ramen noodles, 18-hour days, and eventually food stamps to survive. Diana, of course, found out and weaponized it at Thanksgiving, announcing with saccharine sweetness that at least I was getting free food somewhere. But behind their ridicule, my project had teeth. I was developing an AI-driven security system with 97% accuracy in predicting cyberattacks. Investors weren't impressed by a college dropout with no connections until Catherine Mitchell, a seasoned investor, gave me $500,000 to refine the product. Secure Vision was born, but I remained anonymous as its CEO, creating a fictional K. Adams who existed only through statements and disguised calls. Over a decade, the company grew from small banks to government contracts and international markets, eventually valued at over $11 billion. I kept up the facade of modest living, an average house, a nondescript car, thrift store clothes, feeding my family's belief that I was barely scraping by. They pitied me, sometimes offered financial help that was more insult than kindness, while Diana bragged about her Hampton summer house and 2 kids in private school. Last month, Forbes approached Secure Vision, and for the first time, I agreed to reveal myself, coinciding with a groundbreaking product launch. The interview was done, the photos taken, the issue scheduled to drop tomorrow, except my publicist warned some copies had shipped early and the digital version would go live at midnight. It was 6:30. My parents' anniversary dinner began at 7. I could leave before the reveal, but after 10 years of condescension, I wanted to be there when the truth detonated. I dressed deliberately plain, black blouse, jeans, flats. Driving my Toyota up the manicured driveway lined with luxury cars, memories of childhood ridicule and disapproval resurfaced. James, the butler who had always treated me kindly, welcomed me warmly at the door, his eyes betraying a glimmer that almost suggested he knew. The living room buzzed with laughter. Diana and Bradford perfectly posed on the leather sofa like magazine models, my mother elegant in navy, my father commanding beside the fireplace. My arrival shifted the room's energy. Strained smiles, stiff nods, Diana's quick smirk at my outfit. We exchanged air kisses, and she wasted no time with a barb about my top being the same one I wore 2 Christmases ago. The dinner unfolded as expected, relatives boasting of yachts, Ivy League acceptances, and Diana's legal triumphs, while I gave vague answers about being busy with work. At the far end of the table, I played my role as the underachieving daughter. The subtle digs came steadily. My father questioning my future, my uncle calling my job computer work, Diana reminding everyone of my food stamps. I smiled politely, thinking of the 300 developers reporting to me, the boardrooms hanging on my strategies, the millions whose data my systems protected. Each course was exquisite: squash soup, beef tenderloin, truffle potatoes, chocolate desserts, served under chandeliers and crystal glasses. But the conversation always turned back to money, legacy, and comparisons. My father praised Diana for setting up trust funds, then jabbed that I had squandered mine on some failed venture, a lie I calmly corrected. Diana pressed harder, dragging my lean years into the spotlight, asking if I still used food stamps, offering to help me find an admin job through Bradford's contacts. The humiliation hung heavy, everyone silent but complicit. I considered pulling out my phone to show them the Forbes cover, but decided to let them fully commit to their smug narrative first. And then James entered, voice solemn. A special delivery for Miss Kristen. A staff member carried in a magazine, the cover hidden, before turning it toward me, and the table froze. My face stared back from Forbes beneath the headline, Meet Tech's Most Secretive Billionaire CEO. My father's glass hovered midair, wine spilling onto the tablecloth. My mother's composure cracked, mouth open in shock. Diana's face drained of color. Bradford looked dumbstruck. I accepted the magazine calmly, thanking the server as though this were routine, and placed it on the table. It seems the publication date was moved up, I said evenly. My father, his voice trembling, demanded, Kristen, what exactly is going on? I met their stunned eyes and delivered the words I had rehearsed for a decade. I am the founder and CEO of Secure Vision. The mysterious K. Adams, that's me. The silence at the table was suffocating, each face frozen in disbelief as I confirmed what they never imagined. I was the architect of an $11 billion company. Bradford, ever the financial mind, stammered about valuations until I cut in, noting Forbes had estimated my net worth at $4.2 billion. Diana's porcelain mask cracked, her voice trembling with accusation as she demanded why I'd misled them. I countered that I hadn't lied. I had simply let them believe what they wanted, never once correcting their assumptions because none of them had cared to ask what truly mattered to me. My parents exchanged glances, my mother fumbling to claim she had always told others I was creative. I reminded her that telling strangers I was creative wasn't the same as supporting me when I slept on an office floor. My father pressed me, indignant that I hadn't told them when I became successful, and I asked pointedly whether their respect for me should really depend on my bank account. For once, the entire room listened. Uncle Harold broke the tension with laughter, declaring it the best news he'd heard in years, while Cousin Melissa leaned in with genuine curiosity about my work. Bradford recalibrated instantly, his eyes calculating, while my parents sat stunned, already rewriting family history in their minds. Only Diana stayed rigid, her lifetime of superiority collapsing around her. When she accused me of enjoying the deception, even Bradford snapped, telling her perhaps it was time they reflected on how they'd treated me. The conversation turned to business, my father eager to discuss investments, Diana suddenly warm and revisionist, recalling how she always admired my independence. I gently corrected her with a memory of her cutting remark about computers being for people incapable of real human interaction. The hypocrisy hung in the air. They tried to pivot quickly, Diana inviting me to career day at her children's school, my father insisting he could guide my finances through Goldman Sachs connections, but I pushed back, clear that I had a professional team and my success was not theirs to leverage. Still, there were cracks of something more genuine. My mother, quieter than usual, finally admitted with uncharacteristic vulnerability that she didn't understand why I hadn't trusted them. I told her our definitions of happiness had always been different. They wanted prestige, I wanted meaning. Would they really have supported me through ramen dinners and investor rejections? The silence was my answer. For the first time, I voiced what had festered for years, that their approval had been contingent on conformity, that they never once asked about my values, my impact, or what my work meant beyond its title or paycheck. My mother faltered, conceding softly that perhaps they had been wrong about some things. It was a crack in the armor, but one I hadn't expected. Diana, ever allergic to vulnerability, shifted the subject back to lifestyle, asking when I would upgrade my car or wardrobe. I smiled at my black blouse and told her wealth meant freedom to decide for myself what success looked like. That baffled her, but it was the truth. As the night wound down, they surrounded me with new narratives, Melissa with curiosity, Bradford with investment questions, my father with strategic angles, my mother with tentative attempts at connection. Diana approached me privately, awkwardly apologizing for unkind comments over the years. I thanked her without granting easy absolution, telling her if we were to rebuild, it would have to be based on who we really were, not appearances. My mother invited me to Sunday brunch, something she had never offered before. I didn't commit, but the invitation itself marked a shift. Later, walking to my modest car under the glow of their estate lights, I realized that though the revelation was everything I had imagined, the aftermath would be more complicated. 3 months later, in a Seattle boardroom, I was finalizing the launch of the Secure Vision Foundation, seeded with $200 million of my personal funds to mentor and finance underrepresented entrepreneurs. My family dynamic had shifted. My father, grudgingly respectful now, had stopped pushing his financial agenda. My mother called weekly with real questions about my work. Diana remained conflicted, oscillating between resentment and attempts to tie herself to my success. Boundaries were in place. Family gatherings on my terms, no bailouts or investments tied to bloodline. Meanwhile, I had stepped into the public eye, speaking at conferences and universities, turning my once hidden voice into a platform for others. When global tech dangled an $18 billion acquisition, I refused, knowing our mission mattered more than the money. That night, I drove my same car to mentor community college students, kids without privilege but rich in determination, and I knew this. Using my success to build doors for others was the true measure of wealth. The journey from food stamps to Forbes had taught me that approval is optional, self-belief is essential, and the sweetest revenge isn't wealth itself, but defining success on your own terms.